Welcome. I'm Tom Labasso, President of Daytona State College. Thank you for joining us for our 22nd presentation of the Gale Lemerand Entrepreneurial Speakers Series. Our keynote speaker is Josh Hudson, CEO of Hudson's Furniture. The company was founded in 1981 and has expanded across Florida with 17 locations in Tampa, Sarasota, St. Petersburg, Orlando, and Ormond Beach. Under Mr. Hudson's leadership, the company continues to flourish, and I believe you'll find his story and background to be quite interesting. We originally established the speaker series to serve students who aspire to become innovators and future entrepreneurs. It is our hope you'll be inspired when you hear directly from successful business leaders such as Mr. Hudson, and that their words of wisdom will make a positive impact on you and help shape your future career pathway. The series was originally founded by the late Bernie Simpkins, a successful Brevard businessman and philanthropist. His generosity launched the series at Eastern Florida State College, and we are proud of this lasting history and partnership with our sister college. Thanks to Mr. Lemerand's generous support, we were able to bring the speaker series to Daytona State College. Gale is one of the nation's leading entrepreneurs. He founded more than 100 successful companies, has served as vice chairman of our board of trustees, and is a philanthropist to many colleges and civic programs in the area. Since our founding in 1957, Daytona State has played an important role in preparing the region's workforce, which in turn drives our local economy. I'm proud of our faculty and staff who provide high-quality, affordable education while meeting and exceeding the needs of everyone in our community. Our mission is to continually respond to the latest needs of our students and to support this region's next generation of entrepreneurs. It is now my privilege to share with you 3 students who are the Spring 2021 recipients of the Gale Lemerand Entrepreneurial Speakers Scholarship. Mr. Lemron has funded these scholarships to help DSC students who are aspiring entrepreneurs, and more than 50 have been awarded since the program was established in 2007. The students are selected based on professors' recommendations and class performance. Congratulations to our scholarship recipients. Your recognition is well deserved. Thank you again for joining us today, and best of luck in your future endeavors. I'd now like to turn the program over to our great friend of the college, Gale Lemerand.
Thank you for participating in today's virtual Lemron Speaker Series event. I'm an entrepreneur at heart, having started my first business when I was at the tender age of 40. That's a long time ago. And I can honestly say that I've had a very fulfilling life, in part because of the many opportunities I've been afforded through entrepreneurship. To my friends here at Daytona State College, as well as to our friends at Eastern Florida State College, who we partner with once a year for their Simpkins Speaker Series, thank you for continuing to support entrepreneurship and to encourage students to think about a future as an entrepreneur. To the student recipients of the Lemerand Scholarships in Entrepreneurship, congratulations. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of your choice of Daytona State College, and I wish you all the best as you pursue your dreams. Please work hard, make informed decisions, and don't ever give up.
With the Small Business Development Center and Daytona State College. Today I want to get right into the program, and it is my distinct pleasure on behalf of Daytona State College and the Gale Lemerand Speaker Series to introduce our local entrepreneur and great businessman, Mr. Josh Hudson.
Good morning. Thank you guys so much for having me on this show. I'm excited to be here this morning to get a chance to share with each one of you. Tom and I were talking about what I should talk about, and I said, hey, Tom, here's my idea. I'm going to share my story with you, and I also want to share with you some of the things that I wish I knew along the way. I said, would that be valuable? And I want to trade places with you this morning. I want to speak to you to share my story, and I want you to maybe hear some things that might challenge a little bit of what you think entrepreneurship looks like. So excited to be part of this with the Gale Lemerand Speaker Series. He's also been a local hero of mine growing up in the Daytona Beach area. I've watched his businesses and his story as well. So to get a chance to share with you today is really fun. I'm starting off here the picture of my tribe. Hopefully you guys can see some of that, but this is our crew, a little bit about me. I'm a twin brother. That's my twin brother up there in the middle with me. That's our dad. He's the founder. Those are all our kids and immediate family. And yes, I am a local Daytona guy here. I'm a second generation business guy. And being from Daytona, I got a little bit of that racing blood in me as well. And so I just threw this slide in here for fun. This is actually me racing the Daytona Amateur Series for Supercross out at the Daytona International Speedway. We've just had so much fun with this sport. It kind of leads me to a little fact I'd love to share with you guys is that, a lot of people may think like being on a dirt bike is kind of silly, but it has allowed me the chance to reset myself. It has allowed me the chance to manage a lot of stress, and it creates a lot of fun to where experiences in my own life that now I can pass on to my son. He's the one I'm holding there. Funny quick story is that a couple weekends ago we had the Daytona Series, and I actually raced it with him. And then his little brother, who's only 4 years old, was actually supposed to race yesterday, but the race got rained out. But yeah, I love being from Daytona. I love the history of the racing, and I love being able to share stories with people about how this relates to entrepreneurship. People might be like, hey, what are you talking about? Well, learning how to be on the cutting edge of any sport, learning how to be competitive is in a lot of ways what we do in the world of business. You may not think you're in competition, but you are. And the things that you do, the disciplines that you take as a CEO, as an entrepreneur, the things you do that make you better, make you the difference between other businesses and other CEOs. So I think about it like this. When I set my routine for the day, what's on my mind a lot of times is, what are the other top CEOs for furniture doing out there? How are they working hard on their own business? What are they doing to make themselves better? And a lot of these life lessons are kind of fun, and they're very applicable in a sport of racing and dirt bikes as well. So back to my story. Here what you're looking at is my father. He's the founder. I'm a second generation business furniture guy. There he is right there, and he's about to step into the family car. That's the furniture delivery truck, and that's the service vehicle. That's all in one. And he founded this in 1981, actually in Ormond Beach. Little store right in Ormond Beach, right on US 1. We've actually since then grown the business, and we moved the store across the street. We still have the original store as well. But yes, he founded it in 1981 and grew the business in a big way. I think an interesting fact when I'm thinking about entrepreneurship and the mindset of an entrepreneur and the way he lived it is that in the year 1981 is also the same year that my brother and I were born. So he put it all on the line. He financed and borrowed from everyone he could to start the family business, and at the same time in that same year had a set of twins. So sometimes I'm thinking about the challenges that may be at hand, or the risk, or something that you may not want to be feeling, and I can just sort of go back to imagine what that would feel like and just let it kind of pull you through whatever hardship is maybe going on. So here he is today. That picture was taken a year ago. I like this picture because it kind of shows a little bit of his spirit, a little bit of his entrepreneurial spirit. He, a a lot of people describe him as a mix between John Wayne and Ernest Hemingway. John Wayne because he really is highly risk tolerant. He's not afraid to put some risk out there. And I'm going to share with you a little bit about how that kind of transpired into my story. He's not afraid to put risk out there. As I was saying, 1981, putting it all on the line, financing to get going. And then the Ernest Hemingway portion is he learned that the Bahamas and spearfishing was a great outlet for him. He got addicted to going over there and that lifestyle, and he's a pilot, and so it was always kind of fueling him, ways that he could build the business to sort of get back there and do that. And he actually shot every one of those fish in one dive by himself. So it's kind of an interesting fact that he's out there and doing that, and I kind of like to share that so you can kind of take a peer into that mindset of entrepreneurship. So I mentioned that he's not afraid of risk at all. And so he actually was growing the business over to 21 locations. And in the year, I believe it was 2006, decided to make a really big play and really double the size of the organization almost. So that takes a lot of risk tolerance, as any of you might imagine. So did this in 2006, and some of you can probably remember what happened in 2008 and 9, and we had a unpredictable downturn in the economy, especially in the housing sector. So the furniture business and the home business are very much tied together. And this created a perfect storm, that you might call it. I think anyone that could have looked behind the scenes to see what he was doing would have thought, this is a smart play. But it didn't work out that way. It didn't work out that way, and I'm giving you the very short version, but we overexpanded. In 2008 and 2009, the housing market crashed. We had maxed sort of our resources, and it forced a situation on us known as a bankruptcy. And I don't put this guy up here for any political reasons at all. The only reason I put him up here is because he actually makes it silly that somehow bankruptcy is or reorganization is sexy. It's not. I know I'm speaking to a lot of college students out here, so maybe some of you might know what it feels like to be broke. But broke just means you're out of money, and that's all Chapter 11 means, is you run out of the funds you need to keep going. So you get to go into a protection program and sort of restructure your business. Now, I want you to think about what it might be like in a legacy position, such as myself, to where you are evaluating, hey, I have the greatest opportunity. I entered the business in 2006 full time, right? I entered the business, and then this situation occurs, and it was very disheartening time. It was very unpredictable. It was very, very challenging. And I'll tell you the other thing is that I was not prepared to be the one to make all the decisions throughout this restructure process. So what I learned here, and the point that I'm really wanting to share with everyone, is I learned a lot about the spirit of resilience. So again, I would flash back to my time as a young man, looking at my father and thinking, man, this guy started this business. He did an awesome job with it. And I'm just now getting going as the second generation, tasked with making it better. I always feel like that's sort of what my job is. And all of a sudden, it looks like it's going to go away. And I'll tell you that never was part of the vision I had. That was never what I thought entrepreneurship would look like. But I learned through the process of this, I learned resilience, and I made a decision back in this window of time that no matter what happens here, what my goal is going to be is that when I get to the end of my life and look back on it, that I would never regret how hard I worked to try to make it happen. Okay, so this story could be very similar to yours if you think about it. I didn't have all the tools I needed at the time. I didn't have the financial understanding that I needed to really make the right decisions. all I really knew during that time was that we needed a lot more sales to keep things going, and I knew I could do everything I could to help build that. So what I learned in this season was resilience. What I learned is how to get up and keep coming to work with a great attitude. I learned how to work on myself. I learned how to build a positive mindset every day, even in the midst of not knowing what's going on. And I really don't see this aspect of entrepreneurship glamorized in today's media or today's news. I don't see the aspect of resilience and learning to take punches, learning how to work on yourself and make yourself better, and learning how to, sort of rely on yourself. I don't see that glamorized. During this time period when we were going through this restructuring, I started asking myself, what can I do to maximize every minute of every day? I built habits into my day, into my schedule, and into my system that are still present today. I start every morning out with a large period of exercise. I start it with some time on myself. I even go through my own mission, my own value statement. I read them to myself every day. I think about what could I do to control the outcome of this? What am I working on that's going to make the most impact on my business today? And these are the things that are really what's going to build you. And I wish that I understood more of that when I was in your shoes. I wish that, I knew that this is just part of the deal. Learning how to take punches, learning how to be resilient is the biggest part of it. I remember in the midst of it, I would get older business people that would come and talk to me, and they'd say, well, Josh, this does look like a bad situation, but think about if you make it through to the other side, how much better you'll be. And I got so sick of hearing that advice that I absolutely detested it. In fact, I would hear people say that and I would think, that's almost ignorant that you are kind of coaching me that way, or saying, I just didn't want to hear it because I didn't believe that, that they were really understanding where I was and what was going on. So anyways, it built this thicker skin, and I learned how to take a lot of punches. I learned how things could roll off my back a lot more. And I think that any entrepreneur is just going to have to learn how to build themselves up and to create some really thick skin to where you can take a lot of punches. I think it's a valuable piece of information that's not glamorized. I'll tell you what I do see glamorized that I think is a little bit almost funny, is like a guy like Daniel Maynard here. And I just saw this in a newsletter that I follow, but this guy, he's on the rock, looks like he's at the beach, he's in his sandals, and he's a millionaire. Not once, but twice. And first, he was hedging bets on various cryptocurrencies. Then more recently, he was getting in on the early explosion of non-fungible tokens. I read the article and I was like, what is a non-fungible token? So I learned what a non-fungible token is, and it is basically, I could be wrong here, some of you may know this better than me, but it's like a digital baseball card, sort of, but you never really own it. You just sort of own the rights to it. And, I think there's like LeBron James dunking, the original video of him doing it is considered a non-fungible token. My point of this is, the chances that you will be in the group of Daniel Maynard, who can bet on the future and non-fungible tokens to become a millionaire, is highly unlikely. You may be having some wins out there, but chances are that your entrepreneurial journey is going to entail more of enduring hardship and building yourself a little bit better every day over the course of the next day. Chances are that yours won't be a quick millionaire story. Chances are that yours is going to be a very long-term success story. I want to share another quick story about a famous company that we all probably know and love and eat, especially if you're in college. It's Chick-fil-A. And I have a lot of friends that are entrepreneurs, they're business owners at Chick-fil-A. And I was talking to one of them that I asked, he's a successful Chick-fil-A business owner. I said, well, when did you start working for Chick-fil-A? And he said, 18 years old. And now he has a family of 3 people, right, and is a Chick-fil-A store owner. So if you think about, we think Chick-fil-A is in the news and they're successful now, but if you take that example, how long was the founder's actions creating a reward? He planted a seed in someone at 18 years old and then is reaping the full reward of it as that person is fully engulfed in their culture. So a lot of what we do at Entrepreneurs is a longer term play. And what I see glamorized is the short term play. And I really think that if you want to advance your own career, if you want to really dig into your own story to make yourself better, you've got to be thinking longer term and building yourself and not playing for today, but playing for out in the distance. And that was a lot of what I had to learn to do. I knew that this would be a very slow climb out if we would do it. And we were successfully able to reorganize, to exit. And since then, we have more than doubled the sales volume of where we are, but it doesn't look like a giant curve. It didn't happen overnight. It was a very slow run. And along that way, we've had some super fun successes. This is a picture of my brother and I, my dad in the background. This was 2012. We won the Florida Retailer of the Year. We were so excited about this because, we had gotten through our reorganization and we were showing people that we knew what was going on. And in Florida, many people don't know this. You probably do now if you've seen so many furniture stores opening, but this is the most competitive state in the entire country. So we were excited to win Florida's best retailer and just get recognized for some of our hard work. So I want to switch now into something else that I did not know the value of, and I want to talk to you a little bit about our core values and our mission. So you, chances are, already know how important core values and mission are. So I probably sound like a broken record telling you that, but where I would like to add value and talk to you about is why they are important. Because this was very foggy in my own head, and I graduated from the University of Florida with a business degree, and I don't think we really got to that, or if we did, I may have missed it. But yeah, part of the strategy of a core values, okay, is that you are teaching the people that are on your journey with you, whether they're employees, whether they're co-founders, you are agreeing on how you think. And the reason why agreeing on how you think is important is because if you don't tell people how you think, what you believe in as your own tribe, then they will create it on their own. And that's not because they're bad people. This is what I'm always saying. It's just because that's human nature. If we don't agree as a business, as an entrepreneur, as a startup venture on a way we think collectively, then each person is going to be thinking and making decisions differently. And man, that didn't really click together, that little piece of advice that I'm sharing with you, until after I had created core values, basically because I had heard so many people telling me how important they were. I thought, well, let me just do this. I went down the road of creating them. And over the course of this journey, I've been able to recognize what they have done and how much value they've added to our company. And so I also would like you to think about the why behind how much more you can get out of a team if everyone knows the way you think. Because if you're sharing that, when they make decisions, they don't ever feel like they can be wrong. So in other words, I love to tell our team members, I say, I've never had anyone make a decision in our company and support it with one of our core values and be wrong. So when you put that out there for people, there's an ease that comes with that. There's a relaxing of the tension. Even if they can't tell you, oh my gosh, I feel less stress at work, they will. And you'll get more out of people because they understand, hey, this is what's going on here. And so briefly, I'll just run through why some of these were created. And you know what? I love to share the story of how these were created. So again, I probably did not have the depth or understanding of the value of these. And I sat down one day and here's the system I used to create a core value. I thought of every situation I've been in with a team member that created tension. Maybe I was believing something that they weren't believing, or we were misaligned. I thought of every opportunity where I had heavy misalignment, and I created a value around it to negate that. So I did it in basically about 2 to 3 hours. All of a sudden, they just came to me, and they really have not changed other than 1 or 2 since then. So recognizing others, we're in a sales industry, and recognition is a powerful tool that we use to fuel other people. Growing others is all about how, if you're the right person, if you're the right leader, people grow underneath of you. And a lot of people don't understand that if people don't grow underneath of you, that you have to look inward, that something has changed. And so we really try to put a spotlight on that one. Full disclosure and transparency, a lot of this one came out of people thinking that maybe because you're the leader or you're starting a business that you don't want to know absolutely everything that's going on. But you absolutely do. And winners want the ball. This is kind of like, hey, I think about Michael Jordan, and a lot of people talk about him in basketball, how many game-winning shots he took. But in his mind, he actually wanted to take those shots. So what we say is that if you want that in our company, you just show us and you do it, and then you get to get recognized. And it's really created an awesome opportunity and a platform for growth. Bringing good energy, just because we believe, like I said, it's a choice on how you arrive to work and the type of energy you bring. Comfort is the enemy we talk about, because nothing can grow from a state of comfort. So as humans, we all have this natural tendency to want and desire comfort, but we don't recognize that growth never comes from comfort. So the awkwardness we feel when we're pushed is always a good thing. And if we don't feel that enough, then that's a very clear warning sign that you're not growing. Our gold standard, because of the design business that we're in, it's called Grand Opening Look Daily. It means that we believe first impressions are really important when we talk about the way we present ourselves. Making a plan and working the plan, it just gets away from there's no winging it, winging it. If you want to start a business, if you have an entrepreneur mindset, you need a foundation of a plan. Execution equals caring is all about how anybody can sort of point out something that's wrong. Very few people can actually execute it. They can build a plan and then actually build it and make it better. So we love to talk about how we belong in that club of people that can actually execute it. And then ownership thinking, this was a recent addition. As we've grown on our journey, we have learned that there's big value in thinking like an owner. We actually share financial statements with all of our leaders now, and we run the business with a complete open book on financial statements. So little side note here, I wish I had paid a lot more attention in accounting class. That's some advice I wish I had been given. Accounting is how the scoreboard is run in business. So not knowing your accounting class is a little bit like not understanding how the score is kept and run. And I didn't connect those dots at all. In fact, another little fun fact, I actually took managerial accounting at Daytona, Daytona State, and then DBCC when I was at home from UF. And yeah, not proud of myself going through that one, but definitely wish I understood the value of that more. So next point I want to talk about is the mission statement. And what we talk about with this is, again, I want you to know it's important. You've heard it a bunch, that these are critical elements of business. But maybe what you don't know is the why behind it, which is where I was. And so the why behind it is you are again pointing to your group of people in the world of entrepreneurship of why you get up and do what you do every day. And you're thinking, Josh, I don't have to do that. We're doing this because we want to be millionaires. That's not enough. It won't be enough to last. You have got to get something around it more than that. And if you said, well, Josh, I'm not starting a business, why is mission important to me? Start a mission for yourself. Your mission statement should be your North Star when you wake up in the morning. Whether you're the entrepreneur, whether you're just trying to make yourself better every day, to think about what it is that I want to be. What path do I want to go on, right? And in our business, what we're telling people is we're saying why we do what we do. Why does it matter so much? So we improve our employees' lives by teaching our team members one of the greatest skills you can learn in life, creating relationships. If I just pause in the first sentence, I want to kind of break down our mission for you a little bit. What we're talking about there is that we teach people how to create relationships with clients. Another simple way you might say that is we teach people how to sell. And I say it simply like that because when I do that, you start to understand it's not, the word sell is not glamorous. I don't know why that's the case. I'm not sure how society has made it not glamorous. Maybe it's that badger that went viral on the salesman videos, or maybe it's the used car salesman. But here's why it is important. Because if you gather any group of entrepreneurs, businessmen in a room, and you can test this yourself, and you can ask them to rank the skill of learning to sell, it will be in their top. And for everyone that's a leader in our company, it will be the number one thing that they have learned that they can share with other people in their life is learning how to sell. And then we recognize that everybody sells, and we're teaching this amazing gift of teaching people how to sell. And when we teach people how to sell, we teach them how to connect with a client, how to listen. All the same skill sets that make you awesome at sales also just make you awesome at life. And so if you come here and you join us, right, if you're part of our tribe, we take a lot of pride in the fact that we get to do that with you. It's a big deal for us, right? And we also would love to make the goal of saying, hey, if you join our team, you look back on yourself, that we made a big impression on you, that learning how to sell was a skill set that you carried on and on and on wherever you went. And so we just take ownership of how influential this skill set is, and it points to our why. So when we do things like if I need people to rally around maybe teaching or gathering people or meeting or sharing information, we just simply point to our mission statement in that first sentence. So the next part of our mission statement is our customers' lives are improved when we design amazing spaces for them and their families and exceed their expectations. It just points to a little bit of what makes us different, right? What makes us different is we design here, right? And that we want to have a deeper conversation with you. We want to connect with you about your home and have a little bit of a deeper conversation with you about what you want to accomplish there and your families and what your expectations are. I tell people when you show up, if you want the lowest price sofa or the cheapest thing, that's really not what we do. But the good news is that when we sell people more, when we talk about design, when we bring a designer into the situation, and we really give a client what they're looking for, we make them happier. So not to go too far into my business, but I just wanted to share with you what we've done so you could kind of connect the dots and understand the value of a mission statement and why you need to craft one and what this journey looks like. And I would love to share that, hey, if you don't have a business yet, you need your own personal mission and values. And I have those as well. And they really help guide our family in the direction that we want to go. And it will be a natural transition for you in whatever journey you want to go on. So we started on this venture of core values and mission, and we just kept growing and learning. And then in 2017, we were awarded the National Home Furnishings Association Retailer of the Year. It was a very fun and exciting award for us. It was in Texas, hence the Texas hats is where we were. But just to see that those things really help push your organization in the right direction, and then to get a chance to have some fun and get recognized was really cool. So this talk today has been all about what I wish I knew. That's what I'm sharing with you. And again, on the mission statement, a cause worth fighting for is worth fighting for to the end. And you get a chance to embody that when you share a mission with a lot of value. It really shapes why people will get up and what they will do for you. One of the last things I wanted to share as a piece of advice is perfection is the enemy of progress. Winston Churchill showed up a couple of times in my slides, not by design, but I would also share with you that I wish I knew. I was way more of a perfectionist early on than I am now. And being a perfectionist and wanting things to be all buttoned up is great. It's okay. but it will slow you down. And a lot of times, like today, I'm surrounded with a great team. I always tell people the hardest part of any project is getting it started. You can start a project and then you will get mountains of feedback once it's off the ground. But remember, you're the one that got it off the ground. You're the one that started the idea that now other people want to share their opinions on. Before you created it, they didn't have anything. So just remember that it's not going to be perfect, but you want to be the guy as the entrepreneur that sort of gets the plane in the air. And there's a lot that you can figure out with your idea or your business as you go or on the fly, and it's never going to be completely buttoned up and without error. And so execution, the discipline of getting things done, and again, this one showed up in our core value, but I wish I had known how little value there is to pointing out what's wrong. A lot of times in business, I've interviewed a lot of people, or people want to come in here for key positions, and I've learned everyone almost can communicate what's wrong. Almost everyone can go in any business. I could go in the Ritz-Carlton here in Orlando, and I could tear them up probably over a few things that they've got wrong. My point is that none of that matters. It only matters to be the guy that can get it better, that can actually take an action and put it into effect and be able to make something happen with it. So this is one of the slides I want to conclude with, just to bring it back around to that word resilience is the one I'm choosing, is that chances are Daniel Mogart is not going to be what your story looks like. I think yours might look more like mine and might feel more like this, which is a rocky fight where just about when you think you are completely knocked out and dead and on the floor, that you figure out how to come back from that and win and be successful. One of the last things I want to share with you, embracing the journey, something I wish I knew. Obviously, you can tell I'm super goal focused. I think you probably are too. And you're always thinking about that next goal and where you're going to go and what's going to happen when you get there. But the truth is, you'll be a lot better off if you just focus on enjoying every day, knowing you're making progress and not making that end place so big in your mind. If you just focus on how to make yourself better, how to focus on yourself every day and just enjoying every single day and not being so focused on the milestone, you're going to be a lot better off. And so I think my time is drawing to a conclusion here. I just want to finish with this last slide. If you loved what you heard, you want to explore more about us, I'd love to talk to you. I've just got a slide up here that shows you where you can go if you want to get more information. But Tom, I've enjoyed it, and it's been a lot of fun to share this. Hopefully it's been good for your viewers too.
Josh, that was just wonderful. A big part of sales that, excuse me, that we were talking about is that storytelling component. And the story you told, I think, was inspirational and just really super. So thank you. Excuse me. But I did want to also introduce that we have a living, breathing Daytona State College student with us today. Rachel Pagan has come all the way out here to visit, but she'd like to ask you a question or two, if that's okay, if you have the time.
No problem. Let's do it. I'd love to hear it.
What are some of your success habits?
That's a good question. I would go back to the success habits would be setting up a daily routine that is conducive to your most productive self. So here's the way I would say that is, here's what I learned. I started studying a lot of successful people, and I noticed that they have a lot of things in common. Most of them get up really early. I, like many of you out there, hated getting up early, but I just said, you know what, if this is what the majority will do, I'm going to do it. So I started getting up early, and I'm usually at the gym by 5:30. I've finished a workout by 6:30. I've got a few other little routines that are in there that really set the day up right in the beginning. So whatever that could look like for you, it doesn't have to be 5:30. If you say it's 9, it's 9. But what are the things you're doing that are setting your day up for the most success? You're, getting the exercise that connects to your mind and your body, I think are super, super critical. And then always asking yourself this question too, is what I'm working on really matter towards my goals? Doesn't matter whether you're running a business or if you say, hey, I want to start a business. When you look back on the past week, did you do things that helped get you towards your goal that you could say yes to? I think when people start really asking hard questions about their own calendar and their schedule, they learn that some of the hardest things we have a tendency to leave off. Does that help answer your question?
And my last one is, what brings a smile to your face on the hard days?
It's a great question. I love winning, as you can see. So I have learned over this journey that you've got to take time to celebrate wins. So I might be getting a little bit of a rough time or a patch of roughness, but I'll go back to really thinking about the wins that we have accomplished and let my mind sit on some of those for a minute. And I think anytime you allow yourself to focus on wins, you get that smile back, and you can kind of gain that confidence that, hey, I've done this in the past. Even if I had a rough week, rough month, I can bring those wins back. But yeah, for sure there's that. And I think anytime I also get to see employees grow, I'll see someone come through an MIT path, or I'll see a new manager that kind of comes through the ranks and takes more of a path. Those are indications to me that everything I'm doing is working if I can see other people growing. So I would say that any chance I get to see someone grow, I actually, that's one of the things that brings a big smile on my face.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Rachel. And we do have a couple questions that came across on chat. Some good questions, and they're kind of Hudson Furniture based. One question, I'm paraphrasing, is how has what's going on in the furniture world, how's that been impacted by employee shortages, particularly in the Florida counties? And are you having to adjust wages to compete with the unemployment benefits?
Good question. So I'll answer the first one is, it really didn't early on affect us too much because we were able to retain all of our people. So we retained most of them, and we didn't really need to do a lot of recruiting. Now it has impacted a little bit of recruiting, but I always tell people that, it has made an impact. The hourly wage comes up a lot in our business, but our average earner on commission is going to be at a $20 an hour range. So it's going to be way higher, even if you're entering into our business, there's a lot of incentives that get you to that. So that really hasn't been impacted it too much yet. And, I'm always of the belief that, in order to really be into what we do, which is sales, and obviously we work weekends, nights, holidays, and a lot of tough hours, that you need to be able to make that sort of income that puts you above those lower levels that are talked about in order to really be into what we're doing here, if that helps answer the question.
Yeah, that's terrific. And somebody that was sort of following on the conversation we were having ahead of time, right now the supply chain is a challenge for a lot of industries, and they imagine that it must be in the furniture business. So what are you working on to improve that going forward?
Yeah, supply chain has really been a disaster. And what we did, I guess I would start with saying, we've always been in that custom element. So we've never been really super fast at delivering. That really hasn't been our thing. It's been more about designing the right furniture for you. That being said, it's still doubled a lot of our lead times, and they tripled in some cases. And it's been terrible, to be honest. To be perfectly honest, it's been terrible for one reason only, is because we're not used to not giving our customers great information, and we've been giving them bad information because we've been given bad information from a manufacturer. So they're dealing with things they've never dealt with. I'm like, well, why is this so what's happening over there? And you start to learn the manufacturing business and everything that's going on in their world, not just, the COVID, the transportation, the foam shortages, the ice storm, the recent Suez Canal issue. And so the issue, they just kept stacking up. It was like we couldn't catch a win on sort of flowing product. And I think it was unfortunate because our customers had suffered from not getting, good information. But they've also hung in there a lot, and business has been good. It's just taken a lot longer than we'd hoped.
Okay, great. And I guess another follow-on, and I guess we're all kind of asking this question, how is the weird real estate market we're going on right now, craziness, how is that affecting your sales?
This is going to be, 2020 was a great year. It was one of our best years, and 2021 looks like it's going to be even better. We're really tied to the real estate market. Obviously, people are getting new homes, people are moving here to Florida. A lot of our demographic or clientele is in that over 55 category, and they are looking for a new start probably from their homes, wherever else they were. So yeah, new home does mean new furniture to us, and it has really benefited our business in a big way.
Outstanding. And another Hudson furniture specific question. Somebody was asking about the tablets that your salespeople, and the way they asked the question, they were wondering if maybe that's slowing down the process, and I'm guessing you have a different answer in that regard.
I think maybe what they'd be saying is that the tablet maybe has bad information on the ETAs with it. So I think that does create a problem. Again, we've been sort of, we've been plagued with getting bad information and then unfortunately passing it on because it was the best information we had. So that could definitely be a challenge. We're working hard to rebound to that and get it a lot better. And I think right now we are starting to see better flow from the manufacturers. I think it's kind of on its way out of this.
And this is a good overall question. What is your number one customer service rule?
Number one customer service rule. I mean, I would go back to that slide that had my dad on it and say, when he founded the business, he said that you cannot make a black and white rule book when it comes to customer service. And, if you start treating every customer like going to a certain line in your manual and making rules, I think that is probably one of my number one rules, is that you have to be able to be flexible, be adaptable to certain situations. You have to have a lot of trust in your customer service team to be able to make the best decisions in the right way. And it has to be something you talk about all the time in your business and that you measure. So kind of a long-winded answer there, but I would say number one rule is don't make too many black and white rules, because you have to be really flexible.
Okay, that's great. And something I'd like to dive into a little bit more, you were talking about you probably would have paid more attention in accounting class.
Yes.
I'm guilty as charged as well. And it's probably something that we talk to a lot of entrepreneurs about, that they're like, oh, I'm just not an accountant.
I know.
And trying to get them to understand at least the dashboard, the overall health, because too many businesses, entrepreneurs are just hoping for the end of the month where they can have enough money in the bank account. What is your guidance for people learning that accounting end of their business?
I would, I'm right there with them. I totally understand. I said the same things. And I'm like, man, I wish someone had told me to stop thinking like that. Warren Buffett says that a financial statement or a P&L is the scoreboard of business. So think about it like this. Like, you think you're going to be a good basketball player, but you don't know how to read the score. So maybe that can connect with you. Or you think you want to be a good football player, but you don't know how to keep score. You don't understand what a touchdown is. You don't understand. You're not going to get there. You have to have what we call is financial literacy, where you are understanding in your business the different ways, the way each line item is affecting other line items, and all of it working together. So I think, yeah, and I guess if I had to talk to myself, which was struggling a lot in accounting, I'd say, just like everything, Josh, maybe go back to that Rocky fight and stick it out. So you're just going to have to pay more attention. You're going to have to do a little bit more math problems. I mean, it's not fun. And I agree with everyone when they say that. I'm not an accountant. I'm not either. But you get a lot of happiness from really having good controls and being able to read those statements is what I would share.
Outstanding. And somebody else had asked, and this kind of goes to the theme to a number of things we were talking about. How do entrepreneurs keep that fire burning to keep, really, really excited and keep driving, especially when things get tough?
Yeah, well, one, have a mindset that expects it to get tough. So, I think, whatever you're going to do, you need to develop a little bit of that grit. Or what in your life are you doing that's sort of developing the grit that's helping you, things roll off your back, is what I say. Be more like a duck. So one is that, is what routines do you have to do that? And two is really clarifying your why for what you're doing. And so I think to myself all the time, look, I get a chance to run a business where I'm dedicated to teaching people how to sell better. I'm teaching people how to create relationships with clients, total strangers, that result in a huge transaction of money. And I think that there's so much value to that. That's what we believe, that helps pull us through the tough times. This is the opportunity of what we get to do. We get to really make an impact on people's lives. Everyone looks at this like it's just furniture, but to me, there's a lot more to it. And so I think clarifying your why is going to help pull you out of those tough times, going to help get you up in the morning and get you through it when you're down. It's because you're going to be able to see, man, if I can get there, that's a really good spot to be.
That's awesome. And a lot of our students that are actually watching you right now, some of them are in classes now thinking about when I run my business, et cetera. So their advice, they're saying, gosh, how do I make that decision between being an employee and does an entrepreneurial mindset have something to do with that? And maybe starting my own business, or maybe it's both. Do you have a?
Yeah, I've thought about that question a lot, and here's what I think is that, if you can't get it off the ground on your own, right? And a lot of people are going to be in that situation. Then find a business that can clearly communicate a growth strategy with you. You're going to be further ahead. If you're interviewing with someone, and I think the most important thing of any business is that, one, they can clearly communicate a growth strategy. Two, they can point to people in their organization that have taken advantage. Now, and we had some rocky years. I mean, really trying to figure it out, and it's not easy. Again, you just have to understand the value of communication. You have to understand it's not going to be easy, and how do you align yourselves? I wish we had been coached more with, like, hey, are you both 100% aligned? Look at the long-term strategy here. What are you doing to help align those things? And I think really when it comes to family, if someone else was looking at this and they said, Josh, what would you maybe do different? I'd say, you work with a coach. Work with a coach that knows these situations, that's been with them before. That you're not dealing with anything new with family that hasn't been done before, and kind of get a referee. That will help you get further faster.
Excellent. And you actually kind of led me to the next question. Who are your mentors? Who coaches you? Because it can be lonely at the top, I'm sure.
Absolutely. And I've always had a coach. I guess now I've had a personal business coach for probably close to 8 years. I have Ron Alfred with Southwestern Coaching, and then I have Steve Gill here's with Tony Robbins, and I've learned so much from these guys. They constantly point me internally, and then I would tell you my other two biggest role models in business would be Andy Stanley and Craig Rochelle. We actually study Craig Rochelle's leadership podcast as a working team every month, and I think if you were to talk to any of the leaders in our company, they would say, we love his stuff, and he really helps grow us and teach us.
I did kind of, before we were waiting for folks, I was kind of interested in maybe getting your local take on, particularly in Volusia and Seminole County, kind of where you see it. I know it's hard to crystal ball everything, but from your leadership role and your business, and had a pretty interesting year for all of us, what are you seeing for the future of our area here in Central Florida?
I'm a big believer in the area and everything that's going on. I think I see nothing but great things happening. I'm a big supporter of the growth that's going on. I love everything that's happening at the Speedway to bring more attention to Daytona. I'm around here in this area, and we're growing like crazy. So, for me, it's like all the lights are green and everything looks good, and I feel blessed to be in Florida and here, and especially Central Florida and Volusia County. So, and I see a lot of great change, to be honest with you.
That's awesome. And we were talking about talent too, and I know with our work, Daytona State College and Small Business Development Center, we work with Team Volusia because there's a lot of buzz about our area, people wanting to move here. One of the questions that they really go to Daytona State about is, do you have bench strength out there, and how do they get trained, and that sort of thing? Have you seen that challenge either here at Hudson or across the area of getting people to the type of job skills that they need to be able to take on more impactful roles?
Absolutely. It's a really good question, and we did struggle with that early on. And what we decided is that we were going to commit ourselves to building leaders internally. And so we talk about bench strength, and look, many times in our history, growth was just predicated on people, not even finances, needing to have the right people in the right positions. So we sort of turned a lot of our energy inward, not because we had to, because we didn't think talent was out there, just because we got better results focusing on building leaders internally than we did hiring them from the outside. So that's kind of how we got to that, but it wasn't a reflection of not thinking that talent was out there, just what worked best for us in our own business.
Sure. Terrific. And I wanted to go back to it because we've gotten a lot of feedback from students and from faculty, for that matter, about the goal setting piece. So I was wondering if maybe you could expand on that a little bit, because that seems to have a lot of buzz. People are asking for your slides and goal setting and how you do that, because I think it really resonates with folks.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I could back up to some of that slide here for a second, and we could talk about that. And so I was really, one of the things when I shared with everyone is that everyone's heard of core values, right? Everyone's heard of core values and mission, but what I didn't know is the value that you have as an entrepreneur. Even, again, I'll just go back to, even if you're not an entrepreneur, but you think you want to be an entrepreneur, have you thought about your own values and how you want to make decisions personally? What you want to be sort of the way that you think. And so I think these are what they're talking about. And they're just basically like, my goal for them is that anyone that's making a decision can use these to filter their decision-making process so that when they get to the other side, it's the same way I would have done it. And it's the same way all of our leaders would have done it. And I think that empowering people to think and make decisions and know they're safe is paramount in being able to grow a decision and be able to have some wins. So, we talked about like our challenge. You just asked me the other challenge with the management. And so I was like, look, I've noticed in our company, this was many years ago, that a lot of people would say, I was looking to grow people internally, and some people would be like, well, you didn't pick me, and they might have a little tension around that. And I'm like, well, I didn't pick you because you weren't doing anything, right? And so that's a nicer way for me to say it, is winners want the ball. But what it did is, it was, again, like people are calling it a goal. It's a core value that helped people to understand, hey, if you want to go somewhere, then you just start doing it. The best promotions we've ever made were so easy because the person's already doing the next job. They're already taking on the responsibility. They're already showing that initiative. And when we see people that act like that, that's a good leader, because it isn't like they're not sitting there going, well, I'll do that, but, right. And if you have that but in your mind, chances are you don't really understand what we're asking for to the level we are. So you see, I can go on about this, but how these become kind of our guide. And now we haven't had that situation where I've had someone that said, hey, why didn't you pick me? Because we talk about these values all the time.
That's neat, and it kind of makes me think a little bit about servant leadership, because I sense it in your company, and that's hard for entrepreneurs, because you go from having to do everything and be reasonably good at everything to a point where you start to grow. You're gonna have to release that and become a leader that's a servant leader, so that you're still in tune with your folks, and yet you're still the driving force of the engine. How did you kind of make that journey from the beginning to leading the whole show?
I went on that exact journey you spoke about. I did everything. And chances are, will do that as an entrepreneur. In the very beginning, when we were small, I was making so many decisions. And I tell you again, back to the Rocky slide. Here's how I figured out how to stop doing that. It was an unsustainable path, and I was like, I can't keep going like this. This isn't fun. I don't need to be making all these decisions for everyone. I'm reaching out and I'm studying. I'm trying to ask myself my questions about what I'm doing. I'm looking at other leaders that are running companies twice as big as mine that make it look effortless. And why do I feel like a hamster on a wheel? It's because I'm not empowering people to make the decisions they need to make. And again, just went back to that. So for me, I wish someone had told me this, because it could have saved me a lot. But I just learned, because I was like, well, I'm not going to keep going this way. It's not a healthy way of life. I got to teach people how to make more decisions, and then this became the framework for how to do it.
It's really neat. And I saw in the chat line, again, almost going back to my other question, here in this area, we're blessed with some pretty awesome family-run businesses. And so somebody's asking you again, do you have any particular additional advice for family-run businesses? I'm guessing they must have one.
Yes. That's a total dicey thing. I could definitely do another talk just on family business, but I think that, if you're in a situation and you can figure out, maybe you can't afford a consultant, right, or to come in, but if you can agree on a third party that you both agree on is sort of become your guiding light for the way you want to do things. Like if you could just agree of, just values, your mission, and you could kind of come together with those. And you might need a person to fixate on that teaches this or that does this. then it has to be less about what you think versus what I think. We're never going to get there if it's like that. And you could think, well, I should have an answer to this because I'm the smartest on this because I did that. And we've been through that too. And I'm almost embarrassed to say it out loud. It should have never been about that. It should have been about what's our North Star, what are our values, what do we believe, what does our end goal look like, and you can do those things. Any family business, you can make the time to come together and you can agree on those things, and then all the little decisions will be easier, and you'll be more energized. So easy to say, hard to do, but it can be done.
That's fair. That's fair. And I wanted to ask you too, because I know one of the awards that you've received is most charitable young professional, and I know I've been blessed with working with a lot of small to mid-sized companies. And almost to an entrepreneur, they all seem to also want to stay involved in nonprofits. I wanted to maybe kind of ask you about your charitable work and how you keep going on that with all the things you have to do.
I think it's really it's definitely not something I knew early on, but it feels really good to be able to give back. And when you get to experience some success, you feel really good. And then getting to share that by being able to give back, I mean, it really, it's an awesome feeling. Every time I've been able to do it, I've, benefited from it, and it's just growing more and more and more. This past year, we were excited to really partner with the American Heart Association, and we said, look, let's put some really big goals out there if we can sell this furniture, and we were able to write the American Heart Association the biggest check we'd ever written to date, which was $21,000. And I just thought how impactful it was, because I was telling people, hey, everyone's been through a tough year. American Heart does a lot of awesome things to help prevent us and keep us healthy and stuff. So it was just a fun cause to get behind, because, a lot of this, so much goes back to, taking it off of yourself and helping other people. And that really becomes a lot more than whatever you want to do. So
that's awesome. Well, thank you very much. And that's a great segue with the way I wanted to close out that the Gale Lemerand speaker series. There's a lot going on absolutely going on in the background that you don't know of, and trying to recruit really great leaders. And I just wanted to point out, and I don't know if Josh even wanted me to mention it, but he is actually donating back his speaker fee to Daytona State College, which was not asked to do that. So we wanted to thank you so much for that. It really will go to a good cause.
Awesome. I'm so excited to be able to help and support this foundation and this series. And I had a great time. So I'd love to help any way I can in the future.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And that's it for today, everybody.